Hey darlings, welcome back to my channel. So for this tutorial, we're going to start off with the shoulder measurement here, and we're marking it down to the bust line, and here is the nipple line, the under bust line, the waistline, and the side length line. If you want your blouse to be straightforward at this bottom line, feel free to move this to this area, and my blouse is about 23 inches long. So we're going to start off with imputing our measurements here, and I'm going to start off with the nipple distance line to mark my dot line, which is 8 inches divided by 2. I have 4, so I'm going to mark this 4 here at the underbust line as well, then at the waistline. Then here at the bottom part of the blouse, whatever you marked for your nipple distance, you're going to add 1 inch to that and mark it right here. This gives more elegance to your blouse. So here I'm going to mark 2 inches from the 4 inches I marked earlier on, and I'm going to repeat same at the underbust line. Then I'm going to use my ruler to connect my dot line. After doing that, the next thing you're going to do is to work on the armpit line. Here I'm going to mark 3 inches above the bust line, like so, and I'm going to mark ½ inch between the mark I made earlier on. Now I'm going to extend this line in between outside the armpit line, and from the bottom part of your bust line right here, I'm going to add 1 inch, tilting it towards the extension I made earlier on. Now I'm going to connect the nipple line to the mark in between. If you have a curved ruler or a hip curve, you can always use it to make these lines. I'm just doing this to show that you can improvise it even if you don't have equipment, especially for our beginners watching. So here I'm just trying to create an armhole dart right here, and I'm simply going to make the connections right so. So the next thing you're going to do is to mark 1/4 inch below the underbust line and 3/4 inch below the nipple line, and this will help you to make a tracing to smoothen up the nipple line area to eliminate any pointed area here. So you're just going to use it to create a smooth curve at the nipple line and underbust line. When you're done with that, I'm going to go ahead and mark my measurement. So here you are going to mark your bust measurement plus ½ inch ease, then you're going to add 1 inch for joining the princess seam after cutting. You add your seam allowance, then you connect this to create your armhole curve like so. Then for the underbust area, you're going to mark your measurement like so. Take note of your measurement. Then you're going to add 2 inches, which is going off from the dot area, and then you're going to add 1 inch more for joining the seam after cutting. So you're going to mark this, and then you add your seam allowance. Then you're going to repeat same at the waistline area. I'll go over it again. You're going to take note of your waistline measurement. Then you add 2 inches that is going off for that. Then add 1 inch for joining the seam after cutting. Then you add your seam allowance. Then at this area, you're going to take note of what is going off here, which is equivalent to 1 inch. Then you add it up to your measurement at the side length area where you want your bottom of your blouse to sit. Then you add 1 inch for joining the princess seam. So you're going to make a connection of these lines. But first of all, you're going to mark 2 inches away from that leg. And from there, you're going to create your curve towards your side length, like so. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to connect these lines. And when I'm done with that, I'm going to add 1/2 inch to the shoulder line. Then make this connection like so for joining the sleeves. Now I'm going to go ahead and mark the neckline. You're free to mark any measurement of neckline you desire. I'm just going to use 4 inches by 4 inches here for the sake of the tutorial. So when you're done doing this, you go ahead, connect these lines. Here, after cutting out your front bodice, it should look something like this. And then we're going to go over and indicate some lines on the shoulder line. Here, I'm going to mark 1/2 inch here and 3/4 of an inch here. And this is how I'm going to be sewing it, like so. I'm not going to cut it off, rather I'm going to leave it to use it to join the shoulders later. So I'm going to go straight ahead to mark the back bodice, and as you can see, I've made the same reference lines here. I'm just going to go over and start imputing the measurements. Right here at the bust line, I'm going to mark the bust measurement plus 1/2 inch ease. Then I add my seam allowance. Then here at the under bust line, I'm going to mark the under bust measurement. Then I'm simply going to add 3/4 of an inch for the dart that will be going off while sewing, and I'm adding my seam allowance. Then here at the waistline, I'm going to mark my actual waist measurement plus 1 inch for the dart. On this point, you're going to add 3/4 of an inch to your measurement so that when you sew your dart, your measurement will still balance. So you add it up, mark, and then add your seam allowance. Next thing is to connect your side seam and then mark your dart. And here I'm going to mark 4 inches here and here. And I'm simply going to extend the bust line towards the zip allowance area. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to mark 1 inch below your bust line. And this is where the back dart will be starting, and I'm equally going to mark 4 inches above there. Also at this area, I'm going to mark 4 inches also. Then I'm going to mark my dart line. After marking your dart line, the next thing for you to do is to mark 1/2 inch in between your dart line at the waistline. Then you connect your dart. Next, you're going to mark 3 inches above your bust line, and then you add ½ inch to the shoulder line, then you curve out your armhole. Then at the bottom of the blouse, you're going to mark 2 inches away from the dart leg, like so, and that's where the curve of the blouse will begin, like so. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to mark out the neckline. I'm marking the same like I marked in the front, but the depth is 2 inches here. You're free to change the neckline style to your taste. So here I've cut out my fabric using this pattern, and I'm going to go ahead and cut my breast part. So this breast part will be stopping at 13 inches on the dot. I don't want it to go beyond the underbust measurement, and here at the armpit line I leave it at ½ inch, and it's always lower than the neckline. And even if the neckline I'm going to use is somewhere here, I'm still going to cut it short and extend it to the sides by ½ inch. So this is how I'm going to be cutting it. As you can see, I've already traced this out here, and I'm just go ahead and cut it out. Here also, for the side part of it, I'm going to leave it at 13 inches also. And if you forgot to notch where your 13 inches is, you can simply put your pattern on your fabric and mark it out. So what I did is to mark this on my pattern, and I'm going to remove this now and show you the tracing and how to adjust it. So now I've marked it on my breast pad. As you can see, I also indicated where my seam allowances are, and I'm going to start somewhere from 1½ inch or so, and from the armpit line there I'm going to make a curve like a bra cup, so that no pattern fabric will enter the side seams, because I don't want any bulginess around there to interrupt with the shaping of the blouse. So when I finish cutting it, you place it like this on your fabric and you sew it like so, and you sew the middle also. Because there's a gummy side to this pattern, you can also use your iron to press everything on to keep it relaxed. So when you're done sewing this, the next thing for us to do now is to join it from this area. And one big clue about this side, this left side, you'll be sewing it from the bottom part up, and the right side of it, you're going to be sewing it from the armpit so that it will balance well. Then after joining this, you should have something like this, and when you turn it to the front, this is what it looks like. Okay, it's turning out really well. And what you have to do here is just to fix the dart at the back bodice and your zipper. Then you place your fabric right side to each other like so, and join it. And when you're done, you have something like this. Thank you very much for watching. I hope I'll see you guys in my next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.